what the heck is energy healing and why you may need it. So I'm Robin Chant, and I've been a firefighter paramedic for almost 29 years. And I've been into energy healing almost 20 years now, about 18, 19, 20 years. And I really got into energy healing actually to do with aches in my body. And when I got into energy healing, it was a spiritual growth for me. And so I've taken many courses over this last 20 years, a lot of courses, probably like as much as a second degree, if not a master's degree, the amount of time and money I've spent in courses. And I realize a lot of people don't even know what energy healing is. And so I'm just going to go over that tonight. And by all means, you guys, I'm teaching to you guys here, but I have you right above. I think I can see most of you. Put up your hand or unmute yourself and ask questions. The more questions, the better, you know? Yeah, because I love answering questions about energy healing, the whole bit. And yeah, energy healing, in my mind, saved my life. Like, I was full of a lot of anger. I was really disconnected from my authentic self. And I was just a lot of depression. And yeah, energy healing came into my life and I did a 180 in everything. And yeah, I really owe a lot to energy healing. And like 29 years later, like I have no PTSD, nothing like that, you know, sleep 8 hours a night, like everything's wonderful. So yeah, I won't say everything's wonderful. We still have our hiccups in life, but yeah, I have no bad back. Like so many coworkers of mine, after 10, 20 years, they have a bad back, lower back or whatever. And yeah, nothing like that. So, and I'm just going to check the chat. So quantum physics, and this obviously we learned many years ago, hopefully in, I think, chemistry or biology or whatever, biology maybe. Our body is actually made up entirely of energy. If we looked under a microscope and magnified it 20,000 times, our hand, we would see a field of swarming cells. Magnify the cells, see molecules, magnify the molecules, see atoms. Magnify the atoms and you actually see subatomic energy clouds, electrons, protons, and neutrons. These subatomic particles are actually units of energy. They're swirling balls of energy. So what makes us up is actually energy. We are a vibrating field of energy. We just vibrate slow enough that we feel solid, okay? And energy medicine perspective. Energy refers to something subtle that we cannot feel, but that is described as a vital force of life force that flows through our body. If the flow of energy is excessive, like too much flow of energy, or deficient or obstruction, we then create disease in that area or abnormal function. If the flow of energy is balanced, this promotes health. And I have to tell you something. Many years ago, when they finally could, I think, take the electron microscope and microscope like a cell, a living cell alive, they could see, you know, the nucleus, the mitochondria, different parts, right? They actually saw a wave of energy, but they didn't know how to describe it, how to label it, so they ignored it. So it was kind of neat. All the people that looked through this electron microscope saw this wave of energy, this life force energy, but they didn't know how to describe it, so they didn't label it, didn't put it into our anatomy books. And I just find that fascinating because they couldn't describe it. You know, it was moving and alive. They couldn't describe it. They did not know how to describe it or how to read it, so they ignored it. Isn't that funny? So pathology of anything is found actually in our energy field around the body before it first goes into the body. So I think that's also fascinating because we have an energy field around us. Okay, we have many energy fields around us. Something wrong with us will be shown in our energetic field around us before it goes into the body. So now, in terms of our body, you need energy flowing to an area, then blood flows, and then lymph. And blood's all about nourishing it. It brings nutrients, and lymph is all about cleansing it. But if you don't have the energy flowing first there's a lack of blood and then a lack of lymph. So it gets quite toxic. So energy medicine or energy healing is one of the oldest practices in the world today. Embrace this in your life. Like everybody goes, oh, Robin, you're into that new age stuff. It's actually very old age stuff. Okay. Years and years ago, people would go, say, to a Kundalini yoga master because they had this thing wrong with them, a bad shoulder or whatever. And they would actually be given different techniques and they'd be talked to about what does that mean? What are you holding on to? The whole bit. They'd go home with homework of exercises, whatever, and it would, whatever was wrong with their shoulder was gone. So yeah, I find that very fascinating. And now I've taken some new courses that aren't to do with energy healing. It's amazing. I think close to 90% of people, if they were to take an MRI of their knee, 90% of the people would have something wrong with their knee. But less than 20% feel pain. And yet so many people have stuff around, like wrong with their shoulder or wrong with their knee, whatever. And yet because they don't feel pain, they probably don't have an unresolved issue in that area. They don't even know that that knee is not working properly physically. So energy healers, therapist is a better term to use, but I know I'll say energy healers because actually nothing heals the body. Only the body can heal itself. You invite conditions that allow the body to heal like it's meant to. But only the body, like Reiki doesn't heal. Reiki invites we'll talk about this later, parasympathetic mode, so the body can heal like it's meant to. But really, only thing that ever heals is the body healing itself. Even if you take medicine, it's only the body healing itself. So when you say energy healers, it's actually mislabeled. It should be energy therapists or energy, somebody else, facilitators. Facilitators of energy is ideally the right word. So energy healers have understood that our health and function greatly depend on the quality of energy that flows through and makes up our body. Practitioners focus either on blocking or harmonizing this subtle energy. The target of energy medicine, the body has everything it needs to heal itself as long as the energetic pathways are open and flowing freely. Energy therapy serves the client by supporting the body's natural healing abilities and restores normal functions by balancing energy channels. Return of movement with all cells and systems of the body. So target of energy healing is to remove the energy blocks so energy can flow throughout the body. Energy first, then blood, then lymph. Reiki removes blocks, acupuncture removes blocks, body talk removes blocks, so does the clearing statement of access consciousness. It's our blocks in our bodies that keep us from healing. It is the blocks in our lives that actually keep us from choosing more. And I'm going to talk about that next Monday night in What is Blocking You. I might call it something a little bit different, but that's what it's about. And it's also free. The less blocks you have in your life, the more you can choose for you and choose overall health and expanding who you are. So what energy healing actually is, nothing heals the body. Only bringing the body back to balance so it can heal itself like it's meant to. Okay, energy therapies create the setting that the body can heal itself. The more you relax, the more you heal. If you've taken any courses from me, I always like to talk about this. Our nervous system has only two modes of function. Either you're in sympathetic or you're in parasympathetic, not a combination. You're in one or the other, okay? Now, sympathetic mode, this is so funny because I learned this almost 30 years ago now. It would be almost 30 years ago now, probably 1992, in university at anatomy and physiology course. And I never thought I'd ever be teaching about it. So I find this very funny. So when you're in sympathetic mode, that's your flight fight mode. That's your go, 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 do, do, do mode. Okay. If you have a huge to-do list, you are in sympathetic mode. Okay. Which means your nerves are not relaxing and letting go. And you're not resting, digesting, and healing. You're just in sympathetic mode. It's go, 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 go. And eventually, like, the nerves get tired because they're just like that. And you'll get adrenal depletion. Your adrenals will be overworked, okay, in sympathetic mode. Now, parasympathetic mode is where you rest, digest, and heal, okay? So you want to be in this spot because the food you eat, you want to digest it so you get the nutrients from it. If you're not digesting the food, like, it could be going right through your body, you're not pulling out the nutrients, your body's going to think it's hungry and make you eat more. You know, you need to eat this to get that nutrient. You need to eat that. And so the more you're in parasympathetic mode, the more efficiently you actually digest the food you eat. Okay. And yeah, if you're in sympathetic go, 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 do, do, do all day, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, you're not healing. So, and your nerves are not relaxing. Okay. And I actually, when I get going and I got a lot to do on my to-do list, okay, I've got to go into parasympathetic mode. So I just relax and I actually chant this: rest, digest, heal, rest, digest, heal. Just so, okay, yeah, body, rest, digest, heal, just so I can relax and get into that parasympathetic mode. And parasympathetic mode may not be sleeping. If you're tossing and turning all night and like lots of intense dreams, you're actually in sympathetic mode. So you want to be parasympathetic mode. That's when you're just in the real moments of life. You know, could be coffee with a friend or whatever. You want to get into this rest, digested, heal mode. So yeah, what do you do on a daily basis to relax? In the parasympathetic mode, the healthier you'll be able to handle day-to-day stresses. So people that take up meditation, they just go, oh, I feel so good. Well, that's because they allow themselves to get into that parasympathetic mode. I was listening to something, this guy, it was actually, I think, kind of like on a CNN show, that he was talking about what he does every morning. He like gets up and stretches, and then he goes for a walk in nature. Well, he's just getting his body ready and getting as much parasympathetic mode before he starts his day. And I think that's brilliant. So, and here in parasympathetic mode, if you can get into it, your nerves are able to relax. They're not like, think of how many diseases are caused by nerves just constricted. So if you can get into parasympathetic mode and you just relax, I think that's so cool. So yeah, relaxing daily allows the nerves to reset to their natural ability, not have them overloaded. What do you do on a daily basis to relax? Yoga. I guess that frog would be kind of meditating, maybe sun tanning, or coffee with a friend, or coffee with yourself. So, and now I'm going to talk about types of energy medicine. I love this because when I first started Body Talk, well, I took Reiki first and did a little bit of Reiki and then got into Body Talk, but it was neat to learn there's so many modalities. And one of my instructors says, and this was brilliant, I still remember the day he said it, all energy modalities work. It's just, what do you resonate with the most? They all work. Just what do you resonate with the most? Okay. So types of, now this goes types. Alternative medical system, evaluate and treatment with multiple techniques. Like acupuncture uses acupuncture, and it could also use Chinese medicine like herbs. Ayurvedic, that's from India. Okay, that's with your vadas. The type of body and, yeah, I guess the type of body you are, you'll eat to that different types of body. Homeopathic, you got homeopathic, basically vials of solutions that have a vibrational rate. And something I just want to talk about, like the homeopathic solutions, and I'm not sure if I'm saying solutions right, they actually don't heal you. They have a vibration, an energetic vibration that they want your body to match, and then the body can heal itself. Just like crystals. Crystals don't actually heal you. they actually have a vibration to them that they invite that type of healing into your body. Okay. And the same with aromatherapy. They, especially good aromatherapy, they vibrate very high. So they invite your body to match that vibration of whatever you need, and so that your body can heal itself. So they invite the kind of like the conditions so that your body can heal itself, whatever, you know, you may be suffering from. So homeopathic, traditional Chinese medicine. Now, mind-body interventions, these are really good. Art therapy, guided imagery, so you could have guided meditations, humor therapy, hypnotherapy, meditation, yoga, prayer therapy, you know, laughter yoga would be in here. Laughter yoga is so good. Biologically based therapies, so dietary supplements, herbal products, mega vitamins, stuff like that. Okay. Number 4, manipulative body-based therapies. So that can be osteopathy, chiropractic, acupressure, reflexology, rolfing. Rolfing is that deep penetration massage. Rolfing, and there's another term for it, hello work. And it can be very painful. I did hello work. I think you do about 12 sessions to get all the parts of your body. And so I received telework, and it was incredible, really. Like you could go in there and see where your rib cage twisted or whatever, or, you know, one hip is higher than the other, and they would work on whatever area that you came in for, releasing that. Very, very painful. I have to admit, very painful, but oh, so good. You could see, you know, you could have one hip higher than the other. After an hour session, your hips have balanced out. So it was very interesting. Communication increases the communication between the cells and the organs of your body. That's the body talk system. The body talk is all about different parts of your body working together, so that your lungs work with your stomach works with your liver, your kidneys work with, you know, your large intestine and all that. So it's all about increasing communication within the body and within the mind. And I think there's other, like theta healing could be similar to that too. There's another one, I do what your aches and pains are saying to you, very similar to that too. And so, yeah, it's not just the body talk system, but can be other systems too. Now, number 6, energy therapies. That's like Qigong, Tai Chi, Reiki, fascia energetics. You could have body-based methods, communication, and energy therapies. So yeah, and there's like touch therapy would be another one there. So all energy therapies work. What does your body resonate with more? What does your body resonate more? I put that in twice. May require more than one session to feel a shift. Like I do access bars, right? And that's all about defragging the brain. So if you can defrag the brain, you can relax more easily, more be in the moment, thus rest, digest, and heal. Well, people that are overthinkers and they overthink everything, they may need to get their bars run a couple times before they're going to feel a shift. Once may not be enough for them. So what is convenient for you in your area, and how much can you commit to that person or that modality too? You know, hello work, I think I did about 1 a month. You know, financially that was enough, whatever it was way back when. And but it took about 10 to 12 months, and I've got everything done. And yeah, it was just, my body felt so free. It let go of so much old physical trauma. Look for an energy therapist. Healer, which we talked about before, is misused, and is willing to support you in choosing other modalities too. Like when people came to me for body talk, I saw a lot of clients for about 9 years there. And I had people's cards out that did Reiki. I had people's cards out that did reflexology. Ooh, reflexology is another good one. That would be, I'd say, a little bit under body manipulation and energy therapy. And yeah, like I would support people. I had pamphlets out for everybody. So how much are you willing to commit to your overall health? And this is a really good picture I'm going to draw here. So right here in the middle, I'm just see if I can get my pen to work. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But right here, if this was you and you wanted to stand in the middle of a teeter-totter, right? How much would you have to be committed to that? Like, you'd want to be balanced. You wouldn't want to be stressed. You want to have strong thighs, strong abs. Okay. It would take a lot of commitment to get strong enough and centered enough to stand in the middle of a teeter-totter. Okay. But most of us, oh, gotta quit my, no, I'm gonna just do this, erase all link there. Most of us are out at either end. Okay. Okay. So we're out of balance. And when you're out of balance, either side, left or right, doesn't matter, you crave stuff that keeps you out of balance. So you're craving the chips and the Coke, and you actually have more allergies and emotional upset out here. So a lot of us are out here, okay? Just stresses of life, our goal. And some of you might be, close. You could have no problem standing in the middle of the teeter-totter, okay? Now, when you go for an energy therapy, I'm just going to change the color here of my, change it to green. When you go for an energy therapy, that session could take you here. It may not take you all the way to the middle in one session. So you go to about here, but life can take you back out. You go home and the kid's in trouble at school, or your mother now is, fallen and hurt her hip or whatever. And so like, it takes commitment to go for energy therapies. You can take somebody here and then they go back to here, but then they come back. And eventually, the more they commit to themselves and the more they commit to receiving sessions, you can get them here. And when you're here in the center, you crave stuff that actually keeps you in balance. So the more in balance I am, the more I want my vegetables, the more I want more wholesome foods. So yeah, people always go, well, how many sessions do I need to feel normal? Well, it's kind of like, if you wanted washboard abs, how much would you have to commit to working out to get washboard abs? And I'm not saying energy therapy needs that strong a commitment, because it is a lot to get washboard abs, but you want to commit. Like once every few months might not be strong enough commitment, but if you're meditating, if you're going for walks in nature, yeah, one every couple months might be enough to kind of get you back to that balance. So, oh yeah, I think we're gonna talk about this next. So why one may need energy therapy. Okay, we go through life and something traumatic happens. Could be physical, could be emotional, or it could be just a bit negative. Okay, so whatever it is, we lock it away in our body and our mind to carry it with us so we can learn from it and prevent it from happening again in the future. So this locking away can either cause havoc in the way the energy moves to the body, or could make us overreactive to something happening in the present moment. The next slide will kind of show you. The more stuff you have locked away in your body, the more tired you could be. Okay. It is to have these incidents and create aha moments of, okay, I've learned from that. I can now let it go. Okay. Which is a gain of wisdom. So they don't need to be locked into our bodies and our mind. The next slide will show you. So the top part of the iceberg, and I'm just going to get my pen out here. This is our conscious mind. So throughout the day, we react to things from our conscious mind 10% of the time. Okay. And throughout the day, we react to things from stuff locked in our subconscious mind 90% of the time. Okay. So for an example, smokers know not to smoke, but something locked in their subconscious mind, 90% of their thoughts, drives them to smoke. Okay. So when you go for energy healing, okay, I'm just going to change the color here. This is what you're dissolving, the part of the subconscious mind. You're dissolving it, not needing to hold on to it, so you can be not so overreactive to things and more in the present moment. So that's why energy healing is so vital. We're removing the stuff that we don't even know we're holding on to, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever. We're dissolving the part underneath here. So now we lock away something in our mind. The subconscious part of our brain can be locked in the body as well. And we are fine unless we have something that triggers it. Then we may overact to something. So yeah, a lot of people, oh, I'm fine, nothing bothers me. But then they might have a belief down here. I'm just going to erase this stuff, erase all ink. I am worthy, and they fine until somebody triggers them. So an example, they have this I am worthy, but they do so many worthy things to cover up the fact deep down they believe they're not worthy. They do so many things. They're busy, and, you know, taking care of this, volunteering for that, taking care of this, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they go out and buy themselves a new purse. And coming home, their husband says jokingly, are you worth that? And that just starts a whole thing. You know, of course I'm worth it. I do this. And it just, and then they feel guilty for buying the first. They feel guilty for overreacting. Well, that's because they got stuff locked away in their subconscious mind. They don't even know what it's linked to. Okay. And that was the trigger, bringing out that I'm unworthiness. Okay. If you guys come Monday night, I'm going to show you the circle theory that's in my book that I wrote, The Art of Choosing You. And we can look at that worthiness and I am unworthy, you know, issues. We won't get into it deep tonight, but that is why energy therapy, whether it's cognitive or whatever, NLP is another one, neuro-linguistic programming, why it's so good. When you go to energy therapy, the goal is to remove part of the bottom half of the iceberg. You're melting away stored incidents so you become less reactive and be able to live more in the now. So yeah, your goal with energy therapy is to melt away that iceberg. And I mean, we're always going through life and we're still making the bottom half of the iceberg. And I love this. I just found some quotes. Your emotional triggers can teach you and grow you, or they can keep you stuck in the same old shit. Oh, that's a good one. The Goddess Rebellion. Be grateful for your triggers. They point you to where you are not free. How your life feels is more important than how it looks. Unprocessed emotions get stuck within us. And we do more of this in Heart Being 101 and Heart Being Enhanced, which are going to start in October. So years and years ago, I taught Kundalini yoga. And it would have been nice if I had two people that to teach it. Because I couldn't, because of working night shift, I couldn't always do it, teach it all the time, but I did teach it. And it was kind of interesting. I found out years later, this one young girl wouldn't come to Kundalini yoga. She'd go, I cry. And she thought the Kundalini yoga made her cry. And so she goes, I don't want to do Kundalini yoga. Well, she was actually, Kundalini yoga can release a lot of emotions. We do movements that can be very similar, but they can be very releasing of emotions. And she didn't realize, and I didn't know she was going through this. I didn't hear till a couple years later that she didn't like to come because she cried, is you're actually releasing old trauma, which if you can release it and cry it out or whatever, yell it out or whatever, then it's not stuck in the body. She's going to have less aches and pains later in life. And so she thought it was a bad thing that she was crying in Kundalini yoga class. Meanwhile, it was a very, very good thing. So it's kind of interesting. I've taken a couple courses on fascia release. And they're taught to massage therapists. I coordinate it. So, and because I have a license to touch bodies because of my paramedic, they let me take the course. I was a little bit lost anatomy wise. Like I do have not bad anatomy, but their anatomy was a little bit more, but I'm glad I took the courses. I just took 2 out of the 4. And these massage therapists will be doing like fascia release, and fascia really stores a lot of our processed emotions, and they will do it and clients will start crying on them, and massage therapists is like, whoa, you know, it's a release, and it's so good for the client, but sometimes it kind of scares massage therapists. They talked about a lot about that in the course, so it was really good. Are you aware that we have 2 brains within our own brain? This is our brain, okay? This is how it's sitting in my head right here. There is actually 2 halves. We'll call this the left side and the right side. And they're 2 totally different brains. And they are connected by just kind of a corpus, I can't now say it properly, but it's just kind of like a communication part. They are connected by that. And they are very different brains. Okay, the left side does one thing and the right side does the other. Okay, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And so the left side is analytical and the right side's creative. The left side of your brain cannot live in the present moment. Okay, it cannot comprehend. It's either worried about the future or sad or distraught about the past. And, you know, like it's just, it goes back and forth between those 2 things. It cannot be in the present moment. Okay. The right side actually cannot judge at all. It's all about the right here, right now, and it just can take everything in. And you want to get, most people are good at their left side, judging what's right, what's wrong. They're really good at that, but they forget to be on their right side. And some people are really good. Like if you're very creative, totally live in the moment, that's your right side. Okay. I find though, most people need to get on the right side more. That's your creative side. And it more invites healing, more living in the moment is your right side of the brain. And so what do you do to be creative? And you want to be creative in life. Like that gets that right side brain going. What I find with people that live black and white, and they follow like recipes to the T, and they don't do anything creative in the day, I swear their right side of the brain wakes them up in the middle of the night bored. So I highly recommend doing something creative, whatever that is. So yes, and I love this. Do you allow some time during the day to not be dictated by time? Like all too often our life is dictated by time, and that's very left brain. We want to be, allow ourselves not to be dictated by time, to be more in the right side of our brain. Amazing. This is, oh yeah, working with you and your clients if you go on to take any energy modality. Right brain function, art awareness, creativity, imagination, intuition comes from our right brain, right side of the brain. Holistic thought, able to look at everything all at once. 3D forms, it just doesn't read left to right. It can see dimension. And left hand control, so it controls our left hand. Left brain function, analytical thought, logic, language, reasoning, science and math, written, number skills, and it controls your right hand. Reading is more of a left brain process, and listening to music is a right brain function. So I love that. And they say the left brain is like a pocket calculator, while the right side is like a computer. It can do so much more at any given time, but few of us trust our right brain awareness. We want to stay in our left brain of logic and right and wrong and good and bad, instead of going into a right brain and be, oh, what else is possible here? So basically we have a right and left side of our brain. Both are required for us to function within the day. Having them work together, you will be less stressed. most of us have a highly functional left side of our brain, questioning everything, judging everything, worried about the past and the future all at the same time. Now, our right side of the brain is what you're able to be in with the present moment. You cannot shut off the left side of the brain. You can only make the right brain stronger. So that definitely was what happened with me with taking energy therapy courses, doing sessions. I made my right brain stronger. Okay, so now my left brain doesn't have to rule me so much. My right brain can be there and I can use them both. The lady from Dragon's Den. Thank you. And so her name is Arlene something. She did a speak at the Chamber of Commerce, and she goes, you can never create a business with just your left brain. She goes, you got to get your right brain in there. It's what's led me. It's going to give you intuition of what you should and shouldn't do. Now your left brain's it doesn't understand the right side, so it tries to make the right side of your brain wrong because it just doesn't understand intuition. It wants logic and everything else. But she says, to be successful, you got to have your left brain and your right brain. And I thought that was brilliant, because too much in life, you're made wrong for not having a smart left brain. But it's really, those two working together is so vital in life. So now let's look at our brain. Getting them to work together will create more of a sense of self, thus less stress in your life. Jill Bolte Taylor is a brain scientist and had a stroke in the left side of her brain. So she got to study firsthand the difference between the right and left side of her brain. I highly recommend her full video, A Stroke of Insight, on TED Talks. Okay. It's about 19 minutes long or 20 minutes long, and it's so good. She was a brain scientist and at 38 had a stroke. And just to have her left brain shut down and for her to be in her right brain, it was like her whole life changed, because she felt nirvana, like this ecstasy, basically being in her right brain. And she was very scientific. And it's kind of funny. She went on to get married. Her whole life changed. And her video on TED Talks, the original one, there's now one of her, 25 years later or whatever. Her video allowed TED Talks to go viral. So TED Talks owes everything to her. Her video was what went viral and put TED Talks out there. People knew it, but not as well. So a balanced brain equals a balanced sense of self. An unbalanced brain, like too much in your left side or whatever, a false sense of self, thus stress. So we're going to learn a technique that I'm going to teach you. And this is all about getting the left and right side of your brain to work together. Okay. This is a technique to do on yourself and others. I teach it to you tonight. You can do it to everybody. Okay. When you need to de-stress from a situation of the day or even from an argument, whatever. I had an EA, education assistant, that did this. She took my course, Body Talk Access, 5 techniques to jumpstart your body into healing. Anyway, so she took Body Talk Access, and she was having a stressful day with the child she was supposed to be taking care of. She was just like, oh, this kid's driving me crazy. So she sat down, they had recess, and, she had to go outside with the child or whatever. Like she had to be with the child, like basically not 24/7, but at school the whole time. And the child was just driving her. Ah! So she sat down, and in her mind, energetically, she tapped out her cortices. She said the child looked at her, exhaled, and just relaxed. And she said then the child just kind of was easy to be around. And it was just amazing. She goes, wow. Like, and she didn't even, what I'm going to teach to you, she didn't even do it physically. She just did it mentally, envisioned it happening. And it changed her and the child she was with. She didn't even touch the child. She just imagined her doing her own head, and it just calmed her down. And then the child calmed down. So I used it as a paramedic energetically on people having seizures, and it would just bring them out of the seizure instantly. One guy, he had lockjaw because of the medication he was taking for whatever. It took away his lockjaw like that. And so it was quite profound to use it. I didn't always remember to use it as a paramedic. I kind of would put on my paramedic uniform and forget that I could have all these tools. But when I did, it would totally change the scene. And it was kind of funny. The guys would get to know, Robin, do your voodoo. This person needs it over here. So yeah, some of the guys learned that, Robin, I know you can calm this person down. Go do that. So yeah. So cortices. What cortices is it's working with the cortex, which is this part of the brain, not the interior part of the brain, but the conscious thinking part of the brain. Okay. It's the covering of the brain, and there's many different parts of the cortex that do different parts. The temporal part has to do with hearing. The frontal part is figuring stuff out. The parietal is our sense of touch. The occipital, the back of the head, is how we process what we see. So there's many different aspects that we're going to be balancing when we do the cortex technique. And as you can see, there's body talk access at the bottom of this. That's where I got these sides from. So, and we're going to do light tapping on ourselves. Okay, as we do this, this light tapping facilitates the communication, stores the memory of the changes being made, and integrates the changes. So you're going to be light tapping both sides of the head, this side and this side at the same time. So this is all about fix it, store the new way of being, the heart, and then you tap the gut area, be it. So fix it, store it, be it, like integrate it into your life. Fix it, store it, be it. Light tapping of the head, make sure you cover both sides of the brain, not just one side, but both sides. Like you can tap like this, so you get both halves, okay? Exaggerated breathing. So we're gonna breathe deeper than we normally do, okay? This ensures the whole energy and neurological systems register the changes being made of the left and right brain communicating together better, okay? And breathing is so profound. I love breathing modalities. I've taken a few over the years, not a lot lately, but I have taken a few. I've done some sessions, receive sessions with deep breathing and stuff. When you breathe, so when you breathe in, your brain actually naturally scans your body and tries to fix the lighter frequencies of stuff. So your blood and your lymph, your chakras, your meridians, that sort of stuff, okay? So deep breathing, your brain actually tries to fix parts of your body, and you would have to be into parasympathetic mode, P for play, parasympathetic mode for it to do that. And when you breathe out, your brain tries to fix denser parts of your body, like your muscles, your joints, muscle joints and teeth. Okay, so when you breathe out, it's so vital to breathe out fully so that brain can fix those different parts of your body, or attempt to fix them. Okay, so how well you breathe in is symbolic to how well you're getting in touch with life. So if you can't breathe in deeply, you're actually feeling overwhelmed, and you feel like too much of life is touching you, too much going on in you. And if you can't breathe out fully, you actually have a hard time letting go. So it's really interesting to watch how people breathe. And the more shallow you breathe, the less you're actually processing your emotions. And so the deeper you can breathe and the deeper you can inhale and exhale, the more you actually process stuff in your body and mind without even needing to go to a therapist. So I think that's just profound. So cortices, we're going to learn how to tap out our cortices. There's everybody tapping out their cortices. So you can do it if you want to. I'm definitely going to be doing it. So we're going to we'll start at the back of the head, and we're going to do 2 breaths in each hand position. So I'm just going to show you my other head here. We're putting our hand here. Make sure back of your head, not on your neck, just above your neck, on the back of your skull, and you're holding your hand, fingers together, okay? And then I want you to take some deep breaths. Don't have to be synchronized. Tap your head, heart, and enteric brain, your gut brain. Head, heart, and gut brain. So that was 2 full breaths. Now, where your hand was, change hands. This one was there, put the other one there, and now tap with your other hand. Head, heart, enteric brain. Head, heart, enteric brain. So that's where your hand was. I hope you guys can see this. Moving my other hand there, 3rd spot. And it's okay to tap on your hand or just in front of it. Make sure you're getting both halves. Deep breathe too. Now, your hand was there and you're just going to put it right in front. And then I might want to tap the top of my head. Moving your hand to here. Now, I haven't done quite here, so I'm going to do one more. Tapping head, heart, enteric brain. Head, heart, enteric brain. And I'm going to make sure I do that last little bit. So I'm kind of overlapping, but I don't care. I want to make sure I get my whole front of my head. And don't forget about deep breathing. Now we've done all this. We need to do the sides of our heads. So take your heel of your hand, put it on your temple, and basically straight back on both sides. Hold. And head, heart, enteric brain. Now, when you are doing that, a good visualization, if you're good at visualizing, now when I started in energy healing, I was not good at visualizing, but you want to visualize both the right side and the left side communicating together. So what I used to do as I'm holding, above on the skull here, I'd been visualizing energy going between both sides, from one side to the other side, one side to the other side, back and forth. I would just imagine like a blue energy over my old brain, because blue stands for communication. And that's but if you want white energy, that's fine, whatever works for you. And that really helps. If you can visualize that increase of communication between each half, remember we got 2 halves, increase of communication between both halves, the cortices will deeper and go longer. But I have what is next. Find an energy therapist in your area. Try different modalities. Take Heart Being 101. Heart Being 101, I've revamped it since last year too. It's learn de-stressing techniques to do on yourself daily, and nobody even has to know you're doing them. Like I don't even think I teach the cortices. I teach other things, and you can just visualize them and expand more of that sense of self in your everyday life. Actually, if I'm doing a little bit too much around here, I do a couple of the techniques and I'm like, oh, I feel so much better. It's somewhere like an energetic wash. So, and I have a few people that do body talks that I know in different parts like Winnipeg and Brandon and Calgary, Regina. And so if you want body talk sessions or Reiki or bars, I know people in all those areas too that do bars, just drop me a line. So Heart Being 101, if I get enough people, I'll start it in October. And it's like 6 weeks of group coaching sessions where I do some theory and we do some practical stuff too. So I've got a couple more slides here. And I'm going to talk back about emotions. And this gives you a taste of what your aches and pains are saying to you, and a taste of my free presentation that's going to be at the end of the month. Oh, how easy it is to de-stress your body, de-stress you. So when you have an emotion, they are formed, right? And they have an energy to them, but they also have a chemical, like something physical. It's called a neuropeptide, which is a chemical messenger for the rest of the body. So like, when you stub your toe, you get mad or angry or whatever, or like, that hurts so much. It's not just your toe that gets angry. The toe lets you know, oh, why did I do that? Let your whole body know. And it could be anger, maybe it's something else when you really stub your toe besides hurt. And so, yeah, it releases this neuropeptide, and doctors have never really studied neuropeptides, okay, until Candace Pert came along. She was a PhD doctor, like a medical doctor, and she realized these neuropeptides are made when you have an emotion. And she basically tried to teach doctors that emotions cause havoc in the body because of these chemical messengers. If the emotion isn't fully expressed, then this neuropeptide goes to different parts of the body and causes havoc. And it's kind of sad. She actually died quite young. She died at 67. And I'm like, she knew all this, but I don't think she ever learned an energy reason to release it, her emotions. And one of the first place emotions go to is actually your diaphragm. So when you go for a jog and you get that diaphragm moving, or a horseback ride, or jump on a trampoline, you actually release old stuck emotions. And I think joggers, not only do they get addicted to the chemicals the released after jogging, the endorphins, but they also get released to discharging all their emotions because of that, that diaphragm bouncing releases emotions. So now that's the Western way of describing it. The Eastern way is this energy needs to be synthesized or digested. And if it's not, it may end up in the meridians and thus other parts of the body. So I'll explain a little bit more of this in the next two things. So the Western medical viewpoint, once this neuropeptide, this chemical messenger is created, it becomes a chemical. And if this emotion is not expressed fully or not fully synthesized in the body, this chemical will create issues where it's stored in the body. It doesn't get released, okay? It'd be like having something to eat, but not fully eating everything. And then the leftover food is left to rot in different parts of the body. It is this chemical that may cause a muscle or joint to ache until it's released, okay? Eastern medical viewpoints on emotion, there is an energy to the emotion. And we know there's an energy to emotion. Like when you get angry, you're just, or sad, it just consumes you. We can sense this energy when we're angry. Our whole body feels this anger. When we're sad, it totally changes our posture. So this energy, if it's not expressed, goes into different parts of the body and creates havoc or lack of harmony in that area. This equals a lack of flow of energy, thus lack of flow of blood, then lymph. This creates a buildup of physical toxins. So we're just going to talk about grief. So let's look at when we do not fully express, we do not fully express or digest emotion, and we're going to look at grief. Grief is a response to loss of something or someone or something, like grieving a lost childhood or grieving, somebody that's gone. It's a natural reaction to loss. There is as much good in an emotion as there is much bad in emotion. The neuropeptide that is created with grief is processed first in the lungs. So not fully processing this emotion can create inflammation in the rest of the body, and especially in the lungs. So the positive aspect of grief allows you to bridge the gap between attachments and allows you to move on, thus a transition in life. Okay, so there's as much good in every emotion as there is much bad. Okay, so if you don't fully process grief, it will be stuck in your lung and the lung meridian. And if it's really stuck, you'll wake up between 3 and 5 a.m. because that energy can't get right through, okay, that time, and thus wakes you up, okay? So the lung function, the physical function, is respiration, breathing. It forms energy from the air and helps to distribute it throughout the whole body. You actually, when you smell fresh apples, right, there's chi to that smell, and that chi is actually spread through your body, that energy. We don't get all our energy from the food we eat. We only actually get about 50% of our energy from the food we eat. The other energy comes from chakras, comes from breathing in that chi, and stuff like that. So the lungs work with the kidney to regulate water metabolism, important in our immune system and resistance to viruses and bacteria. Regulates our sweat glands, body hair, and provides moisture to the skin. So if you have dry skin and you have lung issues, okay, those two usually go hand in hand. You can put as much lotion as you want onto that dry skin until you fix the lung issue. You're going to constantly have dry skin. Okay. Now, the lung meridian or lungs help circulate blood, allows us to move on, gives us ability to speak with a clear voice. Okay. The emotions that are processed in the lungs is grief, sadness, detachment from ourselves or others. Okay. Symptoms of lung imbalances, shortness of breath, totally makes sense. Shallow breathing, sweating, fatigue, cough, frequent cold and flu, allergies, asthma, and other lung conditions, and dry skin, depression, and crying. And they will wake between the hours of 3 and 5. And see where the lung meridian is. I'm just going to grab my highlighter here, guys. Highlighter and yellow. Good. See where it goes? It goes in here and then down the arm. If that part of you aches, that can be lung issues. So, you know, like, oh, I always feel tight in the front of my shoulder or my inner elbow. That could be lung issues. Now, I mean, there are other meridians that flow close to there, but it could be that or your thumb, you know. So, yeah. Questions to ask if this may be out of balance for yourself or others. Are you getting all you can out of life? What do you need to release in your life? What are you holding on to? Does it feel like it's hard to let your guard down? Where in your life do you have trouble being yourself? How can you create more flow in that part of your life? Energy, distribution, vitality, release, or holding an issue for you? Do you release your grief in life? Is control an issue for you? How is your reactiveness to things in life? So my dad had a lot of those issues, and he actually went on to have pulmonary fibrosis, which is a lung condition. So I think that's everything, guys.